Good evening. I am Jay Sikand, the intern at Lexis and Company, and today I am going to talk on a topic which is cohabitation or living relationship as a viewpoint from a lawyer, from a legal point. So, from a legal point of view, if you see cohabitation or you could say living relationship, it is something which is very common nowadays. Though gone are those days when living relationship was kept as a big secret, as a hidden, uh, you know, a kind of social stigma, which was haunting everyone. So everyone kept quiet about it. Nobody dared to speak about it. So today I will be speaking on the core topic. Now I'm not saying this that cohabitation or living relationship is right or wrong, but I will put some contradictions. And since let me just introduce the topic first, and I will be bilingual in this video, and I would like to start by quoting what my uncle used to say about living relationships. He said, and I quote, कि जिंदगी में प्यार का पौधा लगाने से पहले ज़मीन ज़रूर परख लेना. Now I understand why he said that. And to introduce with my topic, cohabitation is a kind of relationship where two persons who are not married but live together. They are involved in romantic and sexually intimated relationships on a long term or a permanent basis. That depends on the kind of relationship. Now, there are many examples we have observed in our society, and recently I watched a movie which was named as Luka Chupi. And you can see lots of examples from other movies also, from web series or books. So, my argument put forward today for cohabitation would be in terms of sexual preferences. So, in terms of sexual preferences, there are two types of sexual preferences. First, that is with the opposite sex, like male or female, or female or male, which is covered as a legal point of view, which is covered under Section 2F of Domestic Violence Act. Now, second, with the same sex. With the same sex, it means either male or male or female or female. That is covered from as a legal point of view. It is covered under Section 377, which is decriminalization of same sex, as recently we have witnessed it. Now, this is where I would like to focal my viewpoint, and this is where a so-called taboo arises, and people argue that why cohabitation is still a taboo. So, as a matter of uh, dispute, 377 section 377 has you know no longer a matter of dispute now, because it has been decriminalized. But when we talk about the other sex, uh, so as a budding lawyer, and I would strongly say that when there is no legal agreement, everything is vague and unclear and unconfirmed. So this creates a lot of problems, a lot of hindrances in the kind of relationship we aspire to be. So first of foremost, I would like to start quoting definition of Section 2F of Section 2 of Domestic Violence Act, which talks about domestic relationship. It says domestic relationship means a relationship between two persons who live together or have a live together in a shared household, or they are related by consanguinity, marriage, or through a relationship in nature of marriage through adoption, or are family members living together as a joint family. So, a recent case law was Indra Sharma versus VKVS Sharma, 2013 SSC. You can search for that. But Now, where I first spoke about the legal agreement is very important. And why I say this? Because if you're not engaged in a legal agreement, this unclear act invites a lot of shortfalls in cohabitation. Now, shortfalls, before I begin about talking about the shortfalls, I would like to tell a history, a controversial history, you can say, or a history which, which carries, cohabitation as a, benchmark to follow for lots of people. And I will tell about the history starting from Stone Age era first. So during Stone Age era, cohabitation was very common. And why was it common? Because the female sex ratio was much, much, much higher than male sex ratio. So at that time, cohabitation was very common. And just to, compensate with the lives, they used to have sex together or they used to cohabitate together. Now, coming to the age of gods, there were lots of marriages which were, you know, not even, I would say that the marriages which contain a legal agreement, but there were dharma which needs to be followed by everyone. And when I talk about dharma, Dashrath, who was the father of Lord Rama, he had three wives, at that time. First one was Kaushalya, second was Sumitra, and third was Kaikeyi. And this was the time of the gods. Then came the time of humans during Rajput. Uh, when Indians were ruling India, Akhand Bharat as a whole. The Indian leader who was ruling India was none other than Maharana Pratap. He used to have 11 wives at a time. He had 11. He had married 11 wives. I don't think that there was any legal agreement, but they still carried that essence throughout their life. Then after passing on of Maharana Pratap, Mughals invaded India, and when they invaded India, the foremost leader, the most the person who has the importance even today was none other than Akbar. Now Akbar had 35 wives. Can you believe it? He used to have 35 wives. Then came British Raj, and lots of empowerment movements were created, leading from Sati movement, abolition of Sati movement, led by Raja Ram Mohan Roy, and Sati Pratha was totally dismantled. So post-independent period, when there was a voice raised by a woman, was in the case of Shah Banu uh, case in 1980s, and lately we know about three talaq. So coming to the shortfalls of cohabitation, as discussed earlier, now there I have divided, and this is from my own study, I have divided into three categories, shortfalls of cohabitation into three categories. Now what those three categories are: first, I have divided it in the form of economic dispute. Now, under economic dispute, I have written marital property laws don't apply. Yes. Second, distribution of property to another at death don't apply. Now, this is what happens when you don't when you have a relationship which is not a legal, you know, a legal agreement. It is sort of cohabitation, so nothing applies on you. Marital properties don't apply on you. Distribution of property to another, custody and maintenance right are even not, you know, uh, so these are all economic disputes. Now, social stigma, what might be that children are considered illegitimate. Yes, that trauma haunts children. Now, third, I have divided into unforgivable sins. Now, what are those? First is rape or non consensual acts. Now, this happens very quite oftenly in our society because of the mentality. Second, breakage of healthy marriages. Cohabitation creates a lot of problems with the married persons. So to eradicate this, I would suggest either get engaged or second, have a prenup agreement. These are the only legal viewpoint which I would suggest you. So thank you so much.